Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. This is episode number 47. Today I am joined, this might as well be like a new catchphrase for this show now, but I'm joined by a new guest. Welcome, Elijah.
Thank you.
So excited to have you on the pod, man. We have met a couple of times briefly before.
Mm-hmm.
The pair of us, we've met at a few multimedia screenings, correct? Because we know small time critics, podcasts like Hashi and Mo and stuff. Like I think since probably the last time we spoke, I was like, you know what, Elijah would probably make a really, really good guest. And I've seen you on Small Time Critics as well. I think I watched the Substance episode that you guys, did as well. And I was very much on your side. I love that film. But super excited to have you on, man. Elijah is an incredible content creator who does film and television, and also I know you're a big Star Wars guy as well.
Nice.
So I thought I might dress for somewhat the occasion.
This is a very nice shirt.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But for those of you obviously who wouldn't know Elijah, what I do with all the new guests, you know this by now, is I take you through a round of quickfire questions. So just basically get a little bit of a gauge of what makes Elijah tick.
Essentially, not nervous at all.
How are you feeling? Nervous?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Let's go straight into it then. So Elijah, straight up, what is your favourite film ever, all time?
The Lion King, 1994.
Oh my, can I just say, I did not know this.
Seriously?
I did not know that coming into this episode. I didn't know that at all.
Okay.
So I think it's safe to say I picked the right person for the job then. What is a comfort film of yours?
Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6. Great pick. What's a guilty pleasure film of yours?
Does 13 go on a 30 count?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That one.
What is a film you think is underrated?
I'm going to say Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is a film you think is overrated?
Terrifier 3.
Terrifier 3. I still haven't got to it yet. I've seen the first one, but not the second or third yet. What is your favourite film score?
The Lion King.
The Lion King. Can't go wrong, man. Horror or comedy?
Comedy.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
Sci-fi.
Blockbuster or indie?
Is both allowed?
Sure.
Both.
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? What's a film you wish you watched in the cinema?
I'm going to say Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. I actually wish I watched that as well in the cinema. If you were stuck on a desert island, Elijah,
Yeah.
what 4 films would you take with you?
Okay. Obviously The Lion King has to be there.
Yeah.
Big Hero 6 has to be there.
Okay.
For the other picks, I think La La Land and The Batman.
Very nice. That is a nice selection, man. Yeah. What is the worst film you've seen in 2024 so far?
This is tough. I'm going to say Borderlands.
Borderlands.
Yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure.
Yeah, please don't.
And finally, Elijah, what is your favourite film of 2024 so far?
The Wild Robot.
Very nice. Very
I'm an
nice.
animation guy, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke to Sandy, Movie Comic Junkie, last week. He had the same pick as well.
Was it? Oh,
Yeah. He said it was Dune, and then he saw The Wild Robot.
That's literally me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the only films I gave 5 stars this year.
Yeah.
Dune Part 2 and The Wild Robot.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, there you go. That's our first round of questions, of quickfire questions. Thanks for playing, man.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
That's fun getting to know you a little bit better through your love of films. But of course, Elijah, we are going to be talking about the latest Disney live action feature that just recently came out, I want to say officially yesterday.
Mm.
And that, of course, is Mufasa, the Lion King. Okay, so... like I said, I genuinely did not know that The Lion King was like your favorite film of all time.
Yeah.
So I just want to just straight up ask you, what is your experience with that film? Why is it your favorite film of all time? Take it away.
Ooh. Deep end here. Okay, no, so I think I was raised with a lot of older siblings. I was like the youngest.
Sure.
So there wasn't much time for the youngest because everyone's like, oh, we go take these guys to school, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of my time was spent with 3 DVDs in particular. That was the Spider-Man box set, the Lion King box set, and I think he had Beauty and the Beast on it, and Ice Age. So obviously, out of those, obviously I like Spider-Man, but the Lion King was the one I watched the most, and I found myself relating to Simba a lot, and I found myself wanting a relationship like he had with Mufasa, his dad, obviously. So yeah, it was just like healing watching that film.
Yeah.
And the music's obviously great. The score's amazing. It's funny. It's got everything you need in the film. So yeah, I think I've seen it like enough times to recite it bar for bar. don't quote me on that, but
yeah. Oh man, that's that's pretty incredible, because I haven't myself have never actually said this on the podcast as well, but I'm almost in a kind of I have a similar experience to you. It's like Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 eventually.
Yeah.
But The Lion King as well was a film that I massively hold really close to my heart. It's a very, very personal film to me. I mean, you're going to hear when we talk about Mufasa just how much that first film kind of had an impact on me. And I think both me and you seem to have like a real personal connection to it, and a somewhat relatability with that film to our own lives.
Yeah.
But that's really nice to hear, man. Like that's super cool. And of course, like, it is just what I would say was one of the greatest films ever made. Like, it's so incredible. It has the kind of, the exterior of this fuzzy Disney animated film, but essentially it is about.
It's got so much.
It's about
heart
grief.
to it.
It's about a child losing his father. So yeah, strong start. Yeah. So as you guys can see, probably tell, we're both pretty pretty invested. Just right from the get-go. In 2019, Elijah, Disney released a live-action remake of The Lion King. What are your thoughts on that film?
I feel like it had the ingredients to be one of the best animated live-action remakes possible. The cast was amazing. The director was good, but I think what lacked for me, I still think the film's good, but I think they changed a lot of like key lines from the first one that kind of gave those lines gave the film its, I'm gonna say je ne sais quoi, but it just gave it what made the film.
Yeah.
And they changed them ever so slightly, but that alone kind of shifts the weight the line holds, and the fact that you couldn't see the emotions of the animals.
Yeah.
So those two things combined didn't work for me, and I didn't enjoy it. I also found that obviously Beyonce's a very good singer, but she kind of overshadowed all the duets that she had with Donald. And again, not that it's a bad thing, but it's just it didn't allow Simba to be the hero of his story in a sense. So,
I basically agree with the majority of what you're saying. I think I've only seen the live action Lion King the one time, because I feel like for me it was kind of just a one and done for me. I feel like the problem I had with that film was you are almost basically recreating the exact same film, but the medium has shifted to live action. And I think partly why the original Lion King works so well is because it is that kind of hand-drawn animation style, and you can't replicate the same charm, the same nuance, the same energy, so to speak, beat for beat in live action. It doesn't work the same. And I completely agree with you about the whole, the facial expressions, the burning emotion of that film doesn't bubble to the screen for me, and I had a really kind of hollow experience with it.
Like bang average, I didn't dislike it. It didn't work for me as a movie.
Yeah. What do you feel about like just live action remakes as a whole? Because I know currently it's quite a hot topic in the film industry. I would say,
I feel like some things need it. Some films you'd want to see. I think I'm one of the only people that liked or enjoyed the Cinderella remake.
Right.
Just because it gave me, I imagined a lot of it as a kid, like how it would look in real life, in live action. So seeing that actually made, I was like, okay, this is something I personally wanted. I don't want it for all of them, but I think a lot of them work. A lot of them have potential to work.
Yeah.
But they're picking the wrong ones, and they're changing very small, like I said, very small things, but it changes the gravitas of what they're trying to do. So
for me, I feel like live action remakes for me, they haven't yet. I haven't had like a standout film yet that has really made me get on board, so to speak, the whole live action. Because like now that like just Moana 2 just came out and they're shooting a live action, I'm like, dude, it's just way too soon. Like why? Anyways, I'll have to wait and see if it's any good. But I had a look at some of the upcoming live action remakes that are supposedly coming out in the next couple of years. So I'm going to list them. Okay. This is not an official game, but I'm actually kind of going to turn this into a game. I'm going to list all these films, and I've actually got Smash or Pass on here, but let's do yay or nay just to keep it PG. Sure. Let's do a yay or nay on if you are excited to see these live action remakes. So up first we have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. No.
Nay.
No. Lilo and Stitch.
Yay.
Moana.
Nay.
Okay, so this one is Gaston and Le Fou prequel series.
Nay.
There's an untitled Aladdin spin-off.
Nay.
The Jungle Book 2.
Nay.
The Sword in the Stone.
Yay.
Hercules.
Yay.
There's an untitled Aladdin sequel.
Nay.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Ooh. Nah.
There's Rose Red, who is Snow White's estranged sister.
Nay.
Bambi.
Yay.
Tink, which is a Tinkerbell film. Yeah.
I've not really done great with that one in the past, so nay.
Prince Charming.
Depending on the casting,
Yeah.
yay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robin Hood.
Yay.
And finally, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yay.
Okay. So, given your love for the original Lion King, but your lukewarm reception to the live-action remake, how were you before seeing Mufasa? Was this a film that was on your radar and you were excited for?
Initially, I wasn't.
Okay.
But leading up to, obviously, seeing yesterday, I've watched all the Lion King films, apart from the 2019 one.
You did the prep.
I did the prep,
nice,
yeah.
nice,
just
nice.
so I prepare myself for what I'm about to see, in the hopes that if it's... Because I was going to be really critical of it. So I wanted to know that I'm not just speaking from emotion, I'm speaking from actual...
Yeah.
There's a background to it. So I... when they announced it, I wasn't excited. But from yesterday morning, I was really, really excited.
Okay.
I was excited for it.
Okay. So Mufasa, obviously there's a film about Simba's dad, Mufasa, how he essentially became, the first basically king of Pride Rock.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I was watching the original film as a kid, Mufasa was always potentially my favorite character because he just had such a presence about him. Voiced by the great James Earl Jones. He was almost a father figure to me as well. It was just, and I think this was definitely a film I wasn't super excited to see it. I wasn't oh my god, yeah. But that was probably because I had I didn't love the live action remake. But the one thing I would say that piqued my interest here was the fact that Barry Jenkins was going to direct it. Barry Jenkins is a filmmaker that I love. Obviously, Moonlight. If Beale Street could talk, so I was like, okay, this is interesting. We got an indie visionary here taking on a huge Disney project. So, yeah, I'm interested to check this one out. I don't yet know how you feel about this film, but what I'm going to do is I'll do a quick plot synopsis to get the conversation really going about the film, get the review going. Guys, if you haven't seen Mufasa, The Lion King, we are going to be talking spoilers at some point here, so please do go check the film out and come back to this discussion at a later time. So, told in flashbacks, Mufasa is an orphaned cub, lost and alone until he meets a sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. The chance meeting sets in motion a journey of misfits searching for their destiny and working together to evade a threatening and deadly foe. The film is directed by Barry Jenkins and stars Aaron Pierre, Calvin Harrison Jr. and Tiffany Boone and Mads Mikkelsen amongst a cast of others. So, big revelation, Elijah, is how do you feel about Mufasa coming out now having seen the film? What are your thoughts?
Okay, my thoughts. Initially, there's a version of this film somewhere that we definitely needed, but it's just not what we got.
Okay.
And I say that because the Mufasa story, from start to finish, I was so down for. I loved it. But it's the other kind of supporting characters, Scar being a big one.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy the way they characterized Scar,
right?
Particularly towards the end. So that kind of brought it down. But in terms of Mufasa's story, if it was just a Mufasa film, amazing, 10 out of 10. But yeah, it's the addition of Kiara, Timon and Pumbaa. Those kind of things kind of brought it down a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. So let's talk about Scar, because you mentioned Scar. I think one of the initial trailers for this film revealed that Mufasa and Scar, obviously, they aren't bound by blood. They're not brothers by blood.
Yeah.
Mufasa is actually a stray, and Scar is actually has royal blood in him. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about that? I want to say change, because we didn't know that beforehand. This is clearly a new creative decision that they've gone. How did you feel about that as a potential?
See, I if they had lent. If they'd lent in more with the reason why Scar becomes Scar is because of that royalty, right? That would have been it would have been more compelling than the can we do spoilers
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Then the reveal of it being because of Sarabi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I really loved the twist or the spin on like Scar actually being the royal one and Mufasa kind of taking his place. Like that had a lot more potential to be a story of like brotherhood and betrayal and like you know, like Transformers 1, you know? Like start off as friends and then he had so much more potential that way. But then they kind of just left that and the third act he just flips and it's like, oh, you didn't really, they did try to build up to it, but they didn't build enough to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't work for me.
Yeah. I watched this film last week at the multimedia screening with a couple of other let's say friends of ours, the usuals, and Sandy, Movie Comic Junkie, was there, and we came and shot an episode after that. And I was obviously I was speaking briefly with him about Mufasa, and he said, one of the big problems he had, similarly to you, is Scar's turn to evil. That transition felt too forced, rushed. And does it take place because it has to take place? Do you know what I mean?
It literally, yeah.
I would agree. I think that was probably one of the cruxes of the film, that you needed to do that really well. And I feel like there's a moment in which it just kind of just jumps from, he kind of was his one character, and then all of a sudden, he's another. I also feel like I completely agree with you about the idea of the film kind of needed to lean more into the idea of Mufasa being a stray, Scar being of royal blood, and almost how he feels entitled to that, versus Mufasa, who's having earned that position. Exactly. They then choose to basically make it like a kind of almost like a love triangle situation, and Sarabi essentially picks Mufasa, and Scar's like left supposedly heartbroken. Didn't feel that though.
Exactly. He just felt like he just did it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah. I do want to go into kind of more the mixed aspects in a bit. I will say, it's really weird, this film, for me, because I thought I was actually going to be sitting down and I would have assumed you liked the Lion King. Didn't actually know you had as much of a personal connection with it. For me, right, I told a couple of people about this. When I saw this film, I was uncontrollably crying.
Same.
I was uncontrollably crying throughout this film. I don't know why. So some points they are quite they are quite emotional, but I think the Lion King especially, it's like similar to Spider-Man. There are some things that aren't even sad or emotional, but my body has this innate reaction to hearing the music or like hearing them talk about certain things and familiar beats of that film.
Yeah.
And I was it was like a Sunday morning crying uncontrollably. When I first came out of the cinema, I was asking everyone about it. I was like, what do you think? It's all right. And I was like, guys, what? Barry Jenkins cooked, man. Like, what are you talking? He did. Let's talk about Barry Jenkins then. How do you feel like he made this film a better experience for you?
I think he understood the qualities of Mufasa and why he is the Lion King.
Yeah.
You know? Like, obviously his name means chief or king.
Yeah.
So there's so much, like, he totally did his research on the character and all the characters, to be fair. But the thing that worked the best was his relationship with Rafiki.
Yes.
Because essentially they're both looking for the same thing, but they don't know that they're looking for each other.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that being the subtext or the underlying kind of journey to, or call to the hero, it was beautiful to see that relationship form, and you can see how Mufasa becomes this really gentle but authoritative figure in The Lion King.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite ever scene is when Mufasa just saved Simba from the hyenas. And he has this whole like, you put yourself in danger, you put Nala in danger, but then literally seconds after that, they're having a joke, they're laughing about it, and it's like he set the boundary of this was wrong, but he's made Simba feel so comfortable that he can literally make a joke in that moment, but still have the respect of knowing that what he did was reckless, but he's still comfortable enough to go to his father and have that like friendly conversation. And it's something that a lot of TV dads don't really do. And to see how he becomes that in this film was the thing that made me cry. Because every single time you could see how he builds up to that. Like, he's this very caring, very gentle, very loyal, He has so many moments where he could take the credit, and he doesn't. And it takes him meeting Rafiki, and Rafiki's the one person in the whole film that lifts his head up. And now he takes the crown, and I'm like, yes, this feels earned. It's earned. He's earned it. He is the Lion King.
Yeah.
So from that kind of perspective, I feel like Barry Jenkins definitely cooked with the Mufasa elements of the story.
Yeah.
But the other bits, I was satisfied basically.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree once again. I feel like the film finds a really nice balance between kind of like the ferocity of Mufasa, but also the empathy of that character as well. That like perfect balance. I think the actors also did a really good job, I would say, for the most part, in conveying that. I do want to say, like, just off the bat as well, I mean, the film looks incredible. Like, it is a stunning looking film. You know, whether you're like a fan of the photorealism or not, it is a beautiful film to look at. Barry Jenkins, for me, I was hugely pleasantly surprised because I really do like a lot of indie films, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised to see some really cool moments of indie visionary in the film, like in a almost like borderline artsy shots in a huge blockbuster. Like, for example, like when Mufasa's through the water and you have all these like frames upon frames and all like this. I was like, am I watching a huge blockbuster? Am I watching it was just a personal kind of like, oh my god, this is so cool. He injects a sense of energy with with the story that I think was a bit lacking in the 2019 version. I think the facial expressions look more emotive. They are definitely better constructed this time around. You can feel more emotion. I do think there is still an argument to be made of like, these are photorealistic lions. There's only so much emotions you could do. And I felt like it was a surprisingly compelling story. I mean, it's sort of about finding, your family. What makes a true king? Is it royal blood, or is it, something that has to be earned? Loads of cool things. And Rafiki was a huge standout.
He's a standout. If it wasn't for the fact that it's a Mufasa story, I would say it was his film.
Definitely, man. I also really enjoyed the the whole. You said you weren't a fan of this, but I liked the flashing back between. Because I mean, at times I felt like they did it a bit too much. I felt like they should have definitely had a bit more. Yeah, some moments it was all Mufasa, and then a couple of moments it was like back and forth, and then it was all Mufasa. So like the rhythm of it caught a bit. The film felt a bit off rhythm at one point, but I kind of liked the whole sort of like bedtime campfire kind of story element. It felt like almost like a cozy film for me. There's a huge amount of bias that I have for The Lion King in general, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I thought like one of the standout moments is right at the very end, where Mufasa is roaring over Pride Rock and Kiara is also, and they're like positioned like they're blocked like this, and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. So
that was insane.
Yeah. Another standout for me, I would say, was Mads Mikkelsen.
Do you think?
You weren't a fan? Tell me.
Not that I wasn't a fan. He did a great job, but I think, I don't know. I don't think we needed that story just yet.
Interesting.
Because I feel like they're setting up another film where Kiara and
definitely.
I forget his name.
Kovu. Yeah, Kovu.
I feel like they're trying to set that story up, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, let's make him bigger now so he's established. But I feel like they didn't need to do too much. It would have been a nice like character story of just Mufasa exploring, or learning about being a king.
Yeah.
And then like obviously have the villain just to push the plot forward a little bit. Yeah. But no, Mads Mikkelsen was good.
Yeah.
He was compelling as the evil bad guy.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm like a huge Mads fan anyway, so like, I think anytime he's sort of involved in anything, I get excited. I thought his character, like he is a very kind of, you killed my son kind of thing. I want revenge. Is a very like surface level motivation. Sure. I just think like, when he was on screen, or when his character was on screen, that was like, he did capture my attention. I also thought one thing I was disappointed about with this film was the songs. I didn't love the songs, but I did think the one song that was the most memorable was his song, was the Bye Bye song. Bye Bye. Even though it's like it's not all that. Like, it's not like a fantastic song, but that's the only song I can remember. And I think Mads plays good villains, and he lent his voice to this character and sort of did what he sort of could have. I thought the design of it, of distinguishing as the white lions and that was cool. That whole scene, the initial scene when the white lions get introduced when they're hunting and you follow really
that was a good intro.
Good stuff.
Very good intro.
I also want to say like really quickly before the film started, and it said in memory of James Earl Jones. It's a huge eruption of applause. And that was like a goosebumps moment. That was.
Oh, my cinema didn't do that.
That was good. Yeah,
I was like,
you did it.
I could feel like I was getting all chills.
Yeah.
This is gonna be like it. I expected a little cameo, not like a cameo, but something like recorded or something.
Yeah.
It was fine that it didn't. I feel like it's more respectful that way.
Yeah.
But
the film isn't perfect.
So for the most part, it works. But it's just the third act where Scar switches, where he becomes Scar. That is the point where you're like, you've built up this tension between them. Like, oh, is he gonna switch now? Because at points I was like, is this the moment where he actually gets the seed of evil? But it wasn't. And is it at this point? Then it isn't. And then it's like at the very end when you least expect it, they suddenly do it because they need to. But I feel like Scar should have had not that he should have had his own movie, but if they really wanted to do a Scar story that late, it should have just had its own like title.
Do you feel like the film wasn't big enough for the both of them? Essentially, is what you're saying?
No, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough time for both, but it was also a bit too long.
100% agree. This is the thing. I don't feel like the film is long. I feel like it felt long at times. Yeah, I think like the film loses a whole lot of momentum in the second. Towards like the middle section, it gets quite messy, and then it's sort of like when it's like Sarabi, Mufasa, Scar, and Zazu. That was like there were moments of like levity there where like Mufasa was basically trying to wingman Scar, and that was
funny.
That was fun and funny, but like the film like completely like just slows down, and it kind of that's when I kind of felt the rhythm slowly going kind of offbeat a bit.
But I'd say that's because of they cut too much to Kiara.
Yeah.
If it was like, Campfire story where like they set it up and that's it, and then like you see them later on at that point where like they're both roaring, that would have been fine. Or if they really wanted to lean into that like breaking the fourth wall, Lion King 1.5 did it well, where it's like a TV remote, right? Which is obviously whimsical and silly, but it didn't ruin the runtime of that film because when they cut back to the actual story, it wasn't like we've built up this suspense and then we're just gonna take it out of it for like some jokes and then we're gonna put you back in to a different build up. So now we're starting again, So that kind of it didn't work well for them. Yeah. But it was funny, sure. Yeah. But the fact that it took me out of the film a lot more than I was comfortable with it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I can get behind that. I think that's definitely a fair criticism. I think the film does feel very kind of choppy and messy at times. I think overall, like I'm definitely, and once again, this is probably because of my bias, but I'm clearly a lot more positive on this film than I've seen. Online. Same. I've seen a lot of shit talk for this film.
I saw the reviews. I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah. No, literally. I literally came out of that multimedia screen. And I was like, guys, like, what? But that's okay. Like that's completely fair. Like if you didn't enjoy the film or whatnot, and you have criticism, that's completely fair. I think I was just in the end. I feel like I was won over by like just the sheer aura of Mufasa. Like I just was. In terms of Barry Jenkins, I think like for me, like I think he's one of the best aspects of the film. Like he definitely brings a level of creativity that I think would otherwise be lacking in a film like this. Yeah. But I don't know how to feel about the fact that a filmmaker of that kind of caliber is almost like tainted in a way. Like he's made two incredible films before this, and I heard recently he's not been the most fond of this film, and I think they had some production issues with Disney, and there was some sort of quarrel. I don't really know what it was, but I think I'm still always going to go and enjoy his film. I'm still always going to be excited to see what he does. Yeah. I don't think it's like tainted his legacy or anything like that. I think it's just like or do you think he does?
No, for me, I think he's not like elevated it, but it's not like gone down.
Oh no, definitely not. I think I would like to see him after this go back to kind of doing
more indie stuff.
100%. Like I think that's.
But like you can tell, he's got like a way with the scale. Yeah. Like considering the budget he had, like you can definitely trust him with like a bigger project.
Oh, definitely, definitely, man. I'm glad he got the bag. And it's like, sure. And now he's just, if it allows him to do more stuff in the future, then sure, that's great. But do you feel like you are gonna take much from seeing Mufasa? Do you feel like this film brings an extra dimension to your experience as a fan of The Lion King, or do you feel like it's still an unnecessary prequel that doesn't hugely impact your experience with it?
Oh, That's insane. That's a crazy question. No, so I think it wasn't needed. It was needed, but it's the end that wasn't needed. That third act, particularly the bit where Scar turns to the dark side, that part wasn't needed. That should have been in a separate thing. It should have just been Mads Mikkelsen's character against the Pride Land or Malele, you know? That should have been, I think, the drive of this movie. But the addition of like Scar and even how he got his name, honestly, like that was, you can tell they just threw that in there because they needed to.
I cringed a little bit.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like, what? It's
like, we gotta just throw this in quickly, just throw it in. Like that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, and it took away from Scar because Scar's like a very, very like multi-dimensional character. In this film, they made him so, for lack of a better word, pathetic.
Yeah.
Like he's supposed to be cunning and smart, but in this film, he's just weak and running away. And I'm like, sure, it shows that he's smart enough to know his limits with strength, and he knows when to run from a fight. Yeah. But you can't just do that every single time. You know, like there has to be some like at least show him being the ideas guy for once. You know, like that covering tracks, that should have been Scar's kind of plan.
100%.
He's cunning. He was able to hide that plot for how many years? Killing Mufasa?
Such a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have just been Mufasa being this. I mean, I did love the fact that he was this all like knowing, all great character, but they should have given Scar some more to do.
I completely agree. I feel like, like the film needed to almost give you a reason as to why Scar would be a believable king. Like he needed not just the opposite of Mufasa's all this and Scar's not there at all. Like give a little more idea of a competition between the two. Like, oh my god, okay, Scar's he's cunning and he's a backstabber essentially, but he's also this is a great trait about him. This is a great trait about him. He's smart, he's clever, he's cunning. So definitely agree with you, man. And also I feel like the point at which Kyros, I think his name is, Mads Mikkelsen's lion versus Mufasa, and then Scar steps in, didn't feel anything then. Didn't feel that. I was like, oh yeah, so that's how he has Scar.
Yeah, at some point he has to get it right. So let's do it now. It felt like in Captain Marvel when Nick Fury gets scratched.
Right. Yeah.
It was like that kind of gag.
100%. It was literally the same thing basically. And then afterwards, where like Mufasa's like, I would never refer to you as Taka. And then Scar's like, then call me Scar. I was like, bro, what? Come on, who wrote that?
Like one line was great, but the response, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
It should have been like, oh, you scarred me or something, but not just, you can call me Scar. Like,
yeah.
But also, you know what, on that point, they kind of did it great in the beginning. Like, I'm going to rave about the beginning of this film so much.
The beginning was so good.
They nuanced Scar or Taka and his father, because his father was like that prideful king who's like, oh yeah, everyone bow to me. But Taka was supposed to be more honorable and more, more of a king. He had more king qualities at the beginning, right? Like the whole, I'm going to let you win just so I can keep you as a brother. That whole vibe, it was great. But then they just lost all of that. Yeah. And it's like, just because he almost let his, okay, so it's a big deal, but he almost like let his mum for dead. That doesn't mean that he's lost everything that his mum has taught him up until that point.
Exactly.
But it felt like, oh, now that he's left her for dead, he's just forgotten everything that she meant to him, and now he's just never gonna ever have those qualities again. But then in the film, the sequel, quote unquote, he's got those qualities back. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I feel like whenever they tried to do anything interesting with Scar, they would always take 5 steps back. Yeah, like it was constant. It was character development, then bringing him back, and it was just like, it was like a constant. No, I get behind that. Yeah, for sure. Are you going to take anything away from this film? I think is my final sort of question.
I took a lot from it.
Yeah,
I took a lot from it. Obviously, I'm from East Africa, so hearing Swahili every now and again, I was like, yeah, this is. Yes, I need more. Yeah. And I'm one of the, I guess, another minority that liked the songs. I'm not saying they were great, but they served the purpose. Yeah. If I was a kid watching this film, I would definitely be leaving the cinema singing them. Brother, honestly, that song, it's hilarious, it's funny, but I love it. So, yeah, I'm not like mad at it. No. It didn't need to happen, but it happened, and I'm happy that it happened. That's it. Yep, for sure. I mean, like I said, I think it's like the Lion King will always be the Lion King, and like nothing can kind of change that. But I think it was cool to see Mufasa's origin. Is it gonna really impact the way I watch the original? Probably not. But I like the fact that this film exists, even if most people don't. And
and it was like a nice sort of. And the film's not perfect by any means, but it has. I did feel things. I did get emotional, regardless of whether or not that's based on previous bias or not. I think the film does have a heart, and a lot of huge blockbusters these days don't, and I can appreciate that. So I think I am happy to just have enjoyed this film. Most people slag it off, sure, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of my sort of overall take on it. But I would, I'll give this a thumbs up. I think it's yeah. Good stuff, because I was fully ready to come here and like just argue with you about like why it's good, and you clearly like it's not good. But I'm happy though. That's we seem to be both on the same page about this. That's really nice. And thank you, man, as also for like sharing about personally why this the original as well connected with you. That's really nice to hear. Okay, so guys, we have come to our the end of our review on Mufasa, which means we are going on to this episode's game segment. And as briefly mentioned at the start of this episode, Elijah is a big Star Wars fan. So there's no way I couldn't do some Star Wars themed games. So, Elijah, the first game we've got for you is a Star Wars this or that. It's Star Wars Character Edition, specifically lightsaber wielders. So I'm going to give you a series of characters, and you're going to tell me who you think would come out on top in a 1v1.
Cool.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kylo Ren versus Rey.
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren versus General Grievous.
General Grievous.
General Grievous versus Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress versus Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul versus Savage Opress.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul versus the Grand Inquisitor.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul versus Plo Koon.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul versus Kit Fisto.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul versus Ahsoka Tano.
Okay, it was a technicality, but Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano versus Qui-Gon Jinn.
Damn. Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn versus Count Dooku.
Count Dooku.
Count Dooku versus Mace Windu.
Oh, okay. Gonna say Mace Windu.
Mace Windu versus Darth Sidious.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu versus Luke Skywalker.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu versus Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu versus Yoda.
Yoda.
Okay. Yoda versus Anakin Skywalker.
Yoda.
And Yoda versus Darth Vader.
This is crazy. I'm gonna say Yoda.
Okay, so Yoda comes out on top in the end. That's a good pick. I think that's a reasonable.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I think it'll be some great fights down the end of that list, but yeah, good stuff. It's a nice little warm up.
That was a good warm up.
Good stuff. So the second, the second and final Star Wars game we have is which Star Wars character said the following quote? Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quotes. You're just going to tell me which Star Wars character. Bonus points if you can get the film as well. Okay?
Cool. Yeah.
So the first quote we have is, "Rebellions are built on hope."
Jyn Erso?
Correct. That is correct. It's not me smiling with that one.
I feel like I've set the bar too high.
The next quote we have is, "I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now."
Was it Luke?
Yeah, that's correct. In the film?
Last Jedi?
Correct, yeah. Next up we have, "I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe."
Han Solo.
Nope. Han Solo.
Damn. Okay. Superman. What's the other guy's name? No, not Hondo. His name's just lost me. Lando.
Not Lando.
It's not Lando.
Not Lando.
Is it Ben Kenobi?
It's not Ben Kenobi. "I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe." So that is Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones.
Of course it is.
You know, and everyone him having that exchange on.
Yes.
Oh my god, what's the name of the planet?
Camino.
Camino. That's it.
Redeem myself.
Yeah, there you go. The next quote we have, "I am one. The Force is with me."
Right.
Not Rey.
Is it not Rey? Oh, it's Chirrut.
That is correct. Yeah, in Rogue One.
In Rogue One.
This is how Liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
Pardon me.
That's correct. In what film?
Revenge of the Sith.
Correct. Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? It's a very quick quote that is said in one of the films.
Can I get a hint? Is it prequels? Sequels?
It's original.
OT. Okay. Obi-Wan.
That is correct. Obi-Wan Kenobi says that in A New Hope. Yeah. Women always figure out the truth. Always.
Leia.
Nope. The quote is about Leia, though. Sort of.
Lando. No, not Lando. Han Solo.
Correct, yeah. Well, technically, I mean, it's based on his own experience, but it's technically about Rey. So I think in The Force Awakens, him and Finn were having a conversation. And last but not least, we have wars not make one great. That is correct. In Empire Strikes Back. There we go. That was pretty good. The last one is pretty obvious considering the order, of the words I said it in. But yeah, there you go. That's it for Star Wars. Now we're going to do some sort of general kind of film trivia. Amy, you can play along with this one if you want. So the next game we have is Podcast Classic, and that is, can you guess the imposter from the cast? And this is blockbuster edition. So all these casts are big films.
Okay, cool.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the first cast we have is Jason Schwartzman, Haley Steinfeld, John David Washington, Oscar Isaac.
John David Washington.
And film?
Into Across the Spider-Verse.
Correct, that is correct. Okay, we're 1 for 1. Up next we have Will Smith, Margot Robbie,
Cool.
Idris Elba,
Cool.
John Cena.
Will Smith.
That is correct. That is correct. You see what I did there with the two?
I see what you did there.
Up next, we have Henry Cavill, Jeremy Renner,
Okay.
Rebecca Ferguson, and Vanessa Kirby.
Oh, the imposter.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again. Sorry.
Henry Cavill,
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner,
Cool.
Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby.
There's an imposter. Henry Cavill, Rebecca Ferguson, Jeremy Renner.
Vanessa Kirby.
Is Henry Cavill the imposter?
That's incorrect.
Damn. Who isn't in that film that I've just listed? Jeremy Renner?
That is correct. Jeremy Renner is the imposter. What's the film, Amy?
No.
That is correct, yeah. Up next, we have Amber Heard, Emma Stone, Bill Murray, Seth Rogen.
Emma Stone.
It's incorrect.
Bill Murray.
It's incorrect as well. So, the film here is Zombieland. So that's Amber
Bill
Heard.
Murray's in something.
Bill Murray's in Zombieland.
Damn.
Yeah, he's like the big celeb cameo. So the imposter in that group of actors is actually Seth Rogen, because Amber Heard plays a girl originally earlier on in the film who's like trying to get with Jesse Eisenberg, and then she turns into a zombie. Yeah, and then Seth Rogen's just not in the film. And finally, Elijah, we have Javier Bardem,
Okay.
Benicio del Toro,
Okay.
Josh Brolin, and Daniel Kaluuya.
Damn. Daniel Kaluuya.
It's incorrect. What is there a particular film you're thinking about?
I was in Dune. But
Not quite Dune.
this is sci-fi.
It's not sci-fi. Well, the same director as Dune.
Okay.
Shall I tell you?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that so the imposter in that.
Wait, tell me the film and then I'll get the imposter.
Okay, the film is Sicario.
Okay. It is Javier Bardem.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that was Guess the Imposter. How was that?
That was good.
Good fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And finally, Elijah, for our fourth and final game,
Cool.
we have technically a new game, but it's a spin on a game we have played many times on the couch. So usually we play a game called Can You Guess the Film from the Opening Line? But this game is Can You Guess the Film from the Final line, from the closing line of the film. Okay?
Is it blockbuster again?
Not all blockbusters, no. They're pretty popular films, but they're not all blockbusters, I would say. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again quotes, and you've just got to tell me which film you think this is the closing line to. Okay, the first film we have is, which would be worse, to live as a monster or to die as a good man?
I have no idea.
No idea?
No idea.
Anything springs to mind at all?
Is it Disney?
It's not Disney. It's not
yeah, then I got nothing.
So that is... Any ideas? That is correct, yes. So that is Shutter Island, yes. Yeah, that's the... It's, yeah, really bleak ending. Have you seen it? Yeah. So up next, we have... But which was destroyed? The Master or The Apprentice? That is correct. That is correct. That's such a great quote. That's such a great line as well. And Sam Jackson's delivery on that is fantastic as well. Up next, we have... I think this might just be my masterpiece. Is it yours?
I need to pay attention to like the closing lines of films. I think this might just be my masterpiece. Is it yours? Was that a hint?
Yeah. Any idea? Do you know? Any ideas, guys? No? So that is Inglourious Bastards. That is Brad Pitt. Have you seen Inglourious Bastards? Yeah. After he performed some, surgery on Colonel Hans Landa. So up next, So Long, Partner.
Toy Story?
That's correct. Toy Story
3.
There we go. Toy Story 3 it is indeed, yes. And finally, And Now We Are Free. I Will See You Again, but not yet. Not yet.
I'm firing up blanks.
So I'll say, we'll do it one more time. So, And Now We Are Free.
Okay.
I Will See You Again, but not yet. Not yet.
Inception?
Not Inception. So that is Gladiator. That is the final. That is the closing line of Gladiator. So yeah, that was I guess the film from the final line. How was that? Good?
That was
challenging.
Hard. Yeah. There's so many.
There are so many films with great lines as well, and just it's an interesting game. I'd say I want to play that again.
That's a good one.
Maybe I should give it to Adam, because Adam's like, I don't know if you see the thing with Adam. He got ripped to shreds online because it is literally his favorite film as well.
Gladiator.
No, it was Lord of the Rings.
Oh right.
And he was like, he got ripped to shreds in the comments about that. But yeah, guys, that is it. That is our fourth and final game, and that wraps this episode. Thank you so much, Elijah.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you so much for coming down and talking Mufasa and playing some film trivia games. I was saying with Amy as well, we'd love to get you guys both on again at some point. And we will. We'll be seeing you very, very soon, next week, actually.
Sure.
So, very, very exciting. How was your first... Is this your first podcast that you've ever done? No. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. I discovered you technically through a podcast. But yeah, I hope this was an enjoyable experience.
This is fun.
So,
this is very fun.
Yeah, man. We'd love to have you back on. Thank you so much. And guys, as always, Elijah's socials, all his links will be down below in the comment section. Please do go check his stuff out. It's really, really cool, especially if you're into Star Wars. This guy, I don't know how many lightsaber twirls you can do at this point, but like, yeah, it's insane. Yeah, that is all for this episode. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you very soon in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers.